What's up, people? A former head nurse of a Georgia detention center retains her license despite refusing to provide care to a dying inmate. I'm Chibuzo Wachuku. I would appreciate you liking this video and subscribing to my channel. You may share this video. This incident happened in 2019 at the Cobb County Adult Detention Center. This woman, Annaleen Visser, who was then working as the head nurse, refused to attend to this inmate, Kevil Wingo, who was detained for possession of drugs. Wingo pleaded for medical attention. Visser, however, refused to provide care. A healthcare employee who is a certified emergency medical technician wanted to evaluate Wingo. Visser refused to let her do so. Instead of letting the healthcare workers attend to Wingo, Visser had sheriff's deputies take him to an isolation room. After the deputies took Wingo there, the guy collapsed. The sheriff's deputies left him on the floor like that. Apparently, the guy rolled over, leaving a body part exposed before he died. The Georgia Board of Nursing opened an investigation like 3 years after Wingo died. The officials of the board gave Visser just a slap on the wrist, despite her admitting that she refused to provide care. The judge sentenced Visser to 1 year of probation. I wrote the clips now.
Kevil Wingo arrived at the Cobb County Jail Infirmary in 2019. Nearly the entire medical staff believed he needed help. Tiffany Womack, a trained EMT, asked to check his vitals, but the nurse in charge, Annaleen Visser, said no.
He actually fell backwards onto the floor and crawled to the window and was asking again, begging for help, and they could not breathe.
Security camera video captures Kevil collapsing at least 5 times. The 32-year-old father was detained for drug possession. The charge nurse believed it was all an act to be sent to the hospital.
You never thought that, hey, maybe I should go over here and see if anything's wrong with him?
No.
This is Visser in a deposition this past May, part of a pending lawsuit.
Why do you say he wasn't having a medical issue right then?
Because I think he was acting out. All along he was acting out, wanting to go to the hospital. And if they'll do anything to go, and he would do anything to go, even if it means picking him off the floor.
Kiara is one of Wingo's daughters.
She don't know because she never checked, but she don't know because she never did what she was supposed to do.
After growing tired of Wingo's screams for help, Nurse Visser asked deputies to put him in an isolation room. He immediately collapsed inside.
Did he look like he was okay medically at that time?
You know, when they act out, they do act like that. They pretend to be dead.
How difficult is it to hear her say these things?
Difficult because if they would have just did their job. They would have just did their job, we wouldn't be here.
According to the medical examiner, Wingo died from a perforated ulcer. That means his abdominal cavity was bathing in stomach acid, painful and deadly. No drugs were found in his system.
Is there anything that you would do different about that night?
Nothing.
Wingo's family filed a complaint with the Georgia Board of Nursing asking the agency to revoke Visser's license. On May 17th, the family's attorney sent this letter to the board, alerting the state it was conducting a future videotaped deposition with Visser and to reserve its ruling until it received a copy. 5 days later, an administrative law judge recommended Visser serve just 1 year probation. The nursing board could have rejected or modified the ruling, but didn't, and it never requested to review the deposition.
I have a huge problem with that.
Elaine Harris is a former nursing professor at Mercer University with more than 40 years of experience. She believes the board made a decision based on incomplete information.
Why do you think it would have been so important for the board to see this video deposition?
They would have seen this nurse's utter lack of compassion, her utter lack of care. I can't envision her in any other practice setting and being considered a safe practitioner.
Now, we reached out to Visser and her attorney, but did not hear back. The president of the nursing board, Tammy Bryant, declined to be interviewed about the decision. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, whose agency provides administrative support to the board, also declined. A spokesperson writing, "It does not wield any statutory authority over the individual enforcement process or otherwise influence board decision-making." The Cobb County Sheriff's Office denies any liability in Wingo's death and shied away from responding to Visser's actions. Back to you guys.
All right, and
Some people still don't understand why a lot of people, including whites, assume it is racism when a white person does something bad to a black person. I don't think the inmate would die if he were white. Visser refused to evaluate him and prevented the healthcare workers from evaluating him. She said that drugs caused it, and for that reason, she refused to let anyone do a medical check. How would she know that the issue was associated with drugs? There was no proof. Even if the drugs caused it, that would not be an excuse to neglect Wingo. Visser learned in nursing school that refusing to provide care to someone at work is neglect. That would justify revoking a license, a registration, a certification, or whatever. It was determined that there were no drugs in the system of Wingo. Wingo died of perforated gastric ulcer. Visser clearly wanted Wingo to die. The officials of the Board of Nursing should know that refusing to provide care is neglect. They let Visser get away with it. I believe that if it were a black person that did such a terrible thing, he or she would have the license, certificate, or whatever revoked. The officials of that board did not even bother to look at the evidence, the video. That video contains the truth. The judge gave Visser such a ridiculous sentence. Such a person that neglects a patient, an inmate, or whatever at work is supposed to do time. This is nonsense. The deputies did not bother to rush Wingo to the hospital. They left him on the floor just like that. They intentionally left him to die. They should lose their jobs and do time for that. The detention center should pay for that. The family of Wingo need to sue the detention center and also need to get the FBI in. As the former nursing professor, Elaine Harris, pointed out, it is not safe to let Visser continue to work in the healthcare field. What she did could happen to either of the people that are part of the problem or either of their family members. She could do that to any of them. The judge and the nursing board did such dumb things, letting Visser get away with it. That judge needs to be fired. Visser needs to be retried. I hope the FBI officials get involved. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching.